All right. Hey, we're gonna start with our no hands drill from last week. Just get our bodies warmed up.
Okay.
All right. So he's gonna have hands on biceps, elbows flared, so we can actually have some room to work. And then all we're looking to do is, as much as possible, try not to use our hands. Okay. We're gonna look to start cutting an angle. I can cut an angle from my heel on his hip or out here on the mats, and then I'm going to look to point my toes and my knees down towards the mats, so that I can bring my knees towards my armpit, weave inside, and then look to lock our trap triangle. Okay. Now I want you to bring you just stay strong there. Then you come back the way. So we got our trap triangle. We're going to come back the way we came. Do the other side. Okay, cool. Let's do 10 apiece on each side, and then we'll get into some actual instruction. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Let's get into rear triangle mechanics. All right. Just go ahead. It's on your back.
All right. So
That's all right. So we'll figure out. We'll get to the setups.
all right.
All right. So we'll get to these, like the how we get here, but this is going to be our initial where we're just going to drill from tonight for our initial like mastering of the mechanics. So you see right here, I have one arm in, one arm out, right? So we've got the beginnings of a triangle. Okay. I don't have my feet locked yet, but I've accomplished the first goal of getting one of his legs out, or one of his arms outside my legs. Okay. So the first thing, or the mechanics are, first, I need to get his elbow above his head. Okay. So what we're going to look to do is come under, wrist to wrist. I'm going to look to pledge allegiance. Okay. I want to make sure I control his wrist and glue it to my chest, his knuckles to my chest. And then as I control this, so a lot of times I'll start from here, I come under, I go wrist to wrist. Okay. Like our veins of my wrist to the veins of his wrist, suicide zone. And then I bring it to my chest, glue it to my chest, and now I start to fall to my hip. Notice two things here. My head alignment is lined up with his head. Okay, it's gonna be a really difficult finish if I'm like way out here. My head's way out here. I want my head above his head. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you'll notice that as I made this transition, okay, here, as I fall to my hip, watch this this foot start to point up, and I'm looking to put my knee pit right here in the carotid artery. Okay, and then make both of my feet point the same direction. This is the same with the front triangle, same with the rear triangle. Like the concept of the Danaher calls unified legs, make our feet both point the same direction. Okay, I don't want it here. Okay, there's no control here. He can start to pummel his hand inside, and there's nothing here, right? I want both of my feet pointing the same direction. Okay. Next, I want to make sure that my hips are north of his shoulder line. Okay, we've been talking about shoulder line a lot with triangles, right? It's the point that connects both of his shoulders. So if I'm really far under him like this, okay, I'm gonna need to make an adjustment. I can do this by planting the foot on the hip or the foot on the floor and making my adjustment here. So where now my hips are north of his shoulders. Okay. Next, I want to make sure I don't want this to be like out of alignment for long. That's just for me to make that transition, and then I'm right back to unified parallel legs. Okay. Next, I want to make just enough room to start to lock my trap triangle. Remember, I'm not trying to go straight to my crook of my knee right now. I'm just trying to make a trap triangle, phase 1. Okay. So I'm here. I'm gonna make just enough space to curl my calf into his artery and lock my trap triangle. Okay. From here, reach down my hand, grab my foot, and I'm gonna bring everything, my knees and my feet up. You see what happens? Sorry, bro. You see, watch what happens to his chin here. So let's say I'm here, right? And his chin is pointed down right now. If I grab my foot and I bring everything up, his chin is more exposed now. His chin opens up, okay? Once I'm here, I lock
and then I'm gonna weave my shoelaces down under the lat. Okay, I'm trying to be nice so I can talk through this. I'm gonna lock it under the lat, and then the finish, after I lock that, I'm being nice right now, since so he doesn't have to tap before I'm finished talking. Once I hide my shoelaces behind the back, the finish is gonna come from taking my support knee towards my strangle knee and flexing my hamstrings. Okay, so I reach down, I pull everything, I hide, and then I flex. I take this knee. Look, I'll show you. Here's what's happening. Set it up on the camera. So I'm here. I've got my triangle locked. I've got his hand, right? I reach down, I grab my foot, and my knees and my feet come up. That opens up the chest. I lock my Sankaku. I hold, or I thread my shoelaces down and under the lat muscles. And then I'm immediately coming back to making sure I keep that elbow above his head and his wrist glued to my chest. I'm keeping that arm controlled. The finish is taking my top knee down towards my strangle knee and hamstring curling. Okay, basically taking my knees to my chest, taking my knees, taking this knee down to this knee, and taking them towards my chest. Okay, makes sense. I'll show it one more time. But any questions so far? Okay, let's do it one more time. This is where you're going to start the drill from. We're going to do several reps of this tonight. It's basically all we're doing. So there'll be plenty of time to hone it in. All right. So we're going to start from, I've got this figure of 4. I've got my heel in his armpit, and I've got my other leg. We're going to go ahead and have it across. Okay, this is where we're going to start from. First thing I'm going to do, I'm not back here, right? This is just control 101. I'm going to be here, so it's harder for him to turn into me. It's hard for him to start getting his elbow out. I want to be here, have my chest, have good like chest to tricep connection. I'm going to swim under with this hand, go wrist to wrist, like palm up. And as I glue it to my hand, I'm going to also catch the elbow, fall to the hip, in a line with his head. Okay. This foot rotates up. Both my legs point the same direction. Now my hips have to get north of his shoulder, so I can plant on the hip or the ground, shrimp a little bit away to make a little space. I want to make sure that the crook of my knee is right here at the end of carotid artery, so that as I start to curl inside, that my calf covers the rest of the artery. Okay. Next, I want to make just enough space to lock a trap triangle. Now, I'm still active here. I want to pledge allegiance. I don't want to let this go, but I'm going to reach down with my hand, pull my foot, assist my foot in coming up, and bring my knees up. Everything comes up, opens his chin up, lock, hide, squeeze.
Make a note of how there's absolutely no shoulder really at any point in it, even in the very beginning. If you're having a lot of trouble wrapping this up, you may need to kind of scoot away from him, just not away from him totally, just pull back a little and kind of let that calf kind of hang him a little bit. Because if you're dug too much into his shoulder, you might not be able to get around him. But that calf's coming up to here. If you look from my angle, he has literally just got this part of the arm and that neck. There's no shoulder in that at all.
Yeah, we can actually get this. Danaher actually makes a note to say this is actually the easiest triangle for people with short legs, because the most of the shoulder, if not all the shoulder, is already out of the chip.
This one I actually have the chance to get. I've done this before.
Yeah.
I'm short, fat legs. I never get triangles with that one. I've done.
He said that if you have short legs, to start with this one to build your confidence, and then go to the other ones, because it's the same concepts.
Mhm.
But yeah, so as I come wrist to wrist, I go to lock. You see, watch his shoulder disappear. Okay, right now it's a little bit between my legs, but as I reach down, first get my hips in the right position, reach down, bring everything up. His shoulder is completely visible to you guys, right? Meaning it's not the choke, it's completely visible to you guys.
That's a tricep, a bicep, his arm bone, and his
Okay.
neck. That's it. There's no shoulder.
Any questions on this? Good. All right. Did you have some? All right, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I'm blind.
Wait, it's like,
That's a couple details. All right, so first off, there's one part here that
probably didn't communicate very well, so let's back up. So first off, wrist to wrist. Again, I'm gonna be a broken record tonight with all the details, okay? Same way I always am. All right, my head, if it's out here, I'm not gonna finish this. I want my head to have alignment with his head. So you see, I'm on my side and I'm bringing our heads in alignment, okay? And I'm controlling his elbow. If his elbow ever gets down below his head, he'll be able to start using it to frame. He could start self-framing, like you could frame against your own hand and start, wedging with the ground, all that kind of stuff. Like, so it's really important that I keep this elbow above his head, okay? Next, it's important that our heads are in alignment, okay? Next, it's really important that the crook of my knee is, here's the artery, right? Crook of my knee is making contact with the artery, okay? If it's back here, I'm not gonna get a good finish, okay? I need it, kind of like we were working on the front triangle, and we said, if we want to get that lock behind the head for the front triangle, we want our knee below the ear. So it's kind of like, I'm thinking of it kind of similarly, where I actually need my knee, the crook of my knee, to be kind of like in parallel or even slightly forward of the ear. But I definitely don't want it behind the ear. If that makes sense. Okay, crook of my knee pit, whatever we want to call it, making contact. Next, point your lower legs the same direction. Notice how my knee tracks the jawline. Notice also how my feet are not locked yet. Okay, like we're rushing to get to this, or worse, we're rushing to get to this. Okay, but if you don't rush it, this is going to allow, doing it in steps will help you be able to do it even faster, and maybe skip some steps in the future. But let's do it in steps first. Lower legs pointed the same direction. Next, if I need to make my adjustment, if my hips are under his shoulder, which I'm pretty good at the moment, but just for emphasis, I can plant the ball of my foot in the hip, or I can come out to the mat if I need to, and I can move my hips north of his shoulders, right? But I'm not getting lazy with this. I'm still trying to find that artery with the crook of my knee, and then I'm coming back up. Now we can lock our trap triangle, okay? Again, don't rush to the knee pit. I'm just looking to lock a trap triangle. Okay, if you rush this, you won't get as good of you might not get as good of a finish as you could have. Okay, or you might not get a finish at all. Right. So trap triangle. Now, I'm still going to make sure I control this wrist, but I'm going to reach, grab my foot, and I'm not pulling it up to my knee pit. Imagine like it's the same. Imagine my foot weren't even to like, if you want to overemphasize this, let your foot continue touching the same spot on your calf as I just pull my foot and bring my knees towards my chest. See, it didn't really go up yet. Now at the top, extend, cut. That's going to finish if I can feel it, right? But ideally, once I'm here at the apex, I brought my knees to my chest, extend, lock the triangle, hide my shoelaces. Like, I'm not able to get there because he's going to sleep the whole time we're drilling. So it's like, or the whole time I'm demonstrating. So like, it's harder for him to stay awake. But it's going to look something like this, right? Here, right? I'm trying to do it fast enough, right? But the two things I want you to think about, big things, are knee pit position, okay? And then not rushing, like not trying to get here and rush this. Look, because you're like, oh, I got a triangle, awesome, but you don't, because your hips are under the shoulder, right? And it's way easier for me to make these adjustments from here and then bring everything up, okay? And also bringing it all up, bringing it all up like this. I guess Josh, turn a little bit here. Look how my foot is on the same spot of my calf as I bring my knees to my chest. Get a blue
Okay.
belt.
Then I lock. If I'm looking for this while I'm pulling, I'm not going to get as much of that slack out as I could have. Okay. But if I pull everything up, it's going to open the chin up, because what I'm pulling is anchored to his chin. So I'm exposing the chin more. Then I'm locking it off. I'm taking all the slack I possibly could have out. Okay. So get a few more, at least 10 more. Like, this is, once you get this, you'll have it like probably for good, and we can start moving on to entries. But it's a little trickier one at first to get.
But you already got the opposite triangle. In my opinion, that's probably like a way harder one to understand than the rear. So you'll have this one for sure. Any questions on it so far? Worry about that knee pit, that knee pit position over the artery, and don't rush the full triangle up. Don't rush that. All right, 1, 2, 3.